I'm Rachel Edidin.
And I'm Miles Stokes.
And we're the hosts of Rachel and Miles Explain the X-Men, a weekly podcast where we walk listeners through the ins, outs, and retcons of our favorite superhero soap opera.
We're also the co-hosts of Rachel and Miles Review the X-Men,
which you're watching right now,
where we talk about the X books that come out each week.
So this week we are down to only 5.
I feel that's pretty reasonable for 2014.
Want to dive in?
All right, let's get started.
First up, we've got The Death of Wolverine, the Weapon X Program, number 4. This is written by Charles Soule, drawn by Angel Unzueta, inked by Mark Deering and Juan Velasco, and colored by Frank Darmada. This is a series that we have been surprised at how much we've been enjoying. And, man... So this issue introduces the main twist of who's in Sharp's head. Sharp is the main character. He's a mercenary who's been, screwed with by the Weapon X program. We were expecting Maverick.
To be fair, we were mainly expecting Maverick because we had no idea. And this issue does reveal it, and kind of a letdown, gotta say.
Yeah, it's not really someone who I think anyone was expecting or wanting.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate. It does seem kind of arbitrary, and for me, a large part of the appeal of the book was sort of figuring out what was going on, what's the mystery, and now that we have that, I don't know, I found this issue less compelling than the previous ones.
Yeah, there's also some kind of iffy gender stuff in here. It's not badly written, it's not badly drawn, but it really didn't grab us the way the rest of the series has, and after the rest of the series, that reveal was kind of a letdown.
I will say it does feature a good example of a ostensible hero behaving in a very non-heroic fashion, and I always do like seeing this. I like sort of noir-y feels to comics with that sort of moral grayness, and this one I think does do that pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been doing that well throughout, and that definitely continues, and the tone definitely continues in kind. So, yeah, I'm interested in seeing where this concludes, but not as interested as I was before yesterday.
Second up, we have Storm number 6. This is written once again by Greg Pak, with pencils by Al Barrionuevo, inks by Tom Palmer, and colors by Ruth Redmond. So this issue follows up on the last couple, which involved Storm hanging out with Yukio, dealing with a bunch of crime syndicate stuff, and sort of dealing with the legacy of Logan, as much as at this point I hate to use the word legacy with Logan, because everyone keeps doing it. And this one, it's not the strongest issue of the series. I think what it does not have, that previous issues have, is a direct link to sort of the different roles, the different eras, the different selves of Storm. In this, we do see some interesting stuff, with Storm being on a plane and people being racist to her and her sort of doing this turn the other cheek thing, but for me it didn't feel as personal.
For me, this came across very much as a transitional issue. The series so far has been rooted really heavily in Storm's past, in people she knew, in aspects and specific eras of her life. This issue transitions out of that and seems like it's leading into a series that's more forward-looking and more about introducing new material and situations. And given that, I'm a little bit reluctant to judge it on its own without seeing where it's going.
Yeah, it's also the first part of I'm guessing, 2-part story, so, until we see the second part, it's hard to know how it's going to work out. One thing that I really do miss, in addition to the connection to Storm's individual traits and past, is the art that was done in a lot of the previous issues by Victor Ibanez. Victor Ibanez is the Storm artist for me. Like, as much as I love Simonson's Storm, as much as I love the old Neil Adams Storm and stuff, it's really all about Ibanez. And so this art's fine, but it's not Ibanez.
Yeah, I think Ibanez at this point, relative to Storm, is definitive in the same ways that Russell Dodderman was on Cyclops. He's just nailed the character and nailed the feel of the book so well that everything is going to be compared to him, deliberately or not, from here out, and the bar he sets is incredibly high.
Yeah. So it might not be the strongest issue. Storm is still a very, very strong series, and still one that I'm really, really glad exists. So looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, if you're looking to jump onto the book and haven't been following it so far, this actually might be a decent point at which to do that. Although, I would still go back and read the earlier issues, because they're great too. Well, it's another week, and that means it's another chapter of Sixis. This week we've got issue 8. This is written by Rick Remender, drawn by Laniel Francis Yu, inked by Jerry Alangulen, Jason Paz, and Laniel Francis Yu, and colored by Edgar Delgado and Jesus Abertov.
Wow, comics by committee.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weekly book, so it's got to be on a ridiculously tight schedule. But, so I read this issue. I read it twice, and I came to the conclusion that I am no longer capable of caring about Sixis. I'm just done with it. I don't care. It's a comic. Some stuff happens.
Well,
that's it. That's, there are images and words.
I feel like we should at least say something about it.
Just did.
Okay, well, beyond that, this one's largely a big fight scene, but for me, for the first time, it's a big fight scene I actually was interested in. There were some good character moments, there were some surprises. Guys, Brother Voodoo comes back. Sorry, Dr. Voodoo these days, but to this 80s reader, Brother Voodoo comes back. And there's some cool stuff with Apocalypse, and Carnage gets vaguely interesting, and I don't know, for me this was a stronger issue than some of the past ones have been. Even though it was mostly a big fight, it didn't feel like filler in the way that some of them have.
There was one joke I liked.
See, that's something.
No.
That's something.
No, not worth the rest of the issue. Not worth the rest of the event. I am done with Sixis. I'm just done.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this one's really overstayed its welcome, I think, in both of our opinion.
I think it had about 3 issues worth of anything.
Mm-hmm. So, but it's the second to last issue. It'll be done next time, and then at that point we'll see whatever consequences come out of it, and at least that'll potentially be interesting.
Will it, though?
Maybe. In the fine tradition of spin-offs that are better than what they spin off of, we have Sixis Revolutions number 4, which I believe is the final of the Sixis Revolutions issues.
Thank God.
Yeah, so once again, it's 2 stories. The first one is called Man of Ice. It's written by John Barber. Hey, we have a friend named John Barber. Probably a different one. Art by Guillermo Magoran and Felix Ruiz, and colors by Rochelle Rosenberg. This one is great. I love it so much. I mean, well, okay, I don't know if it's great, but it's really, really funny. So, we have this inversion thing going on where the good guys are bad guys and the bad guys are good guys, etc. This is all about Iceman being inverted, and so Iceman's primary character traits are him being sort of a silly, goofy, good-natured dude, and in this he basically turns into a dark parody of Batman, just super serious all the time.
Yeah, if you've watched the TV series Angel, and you remember the episode where Spike is running along the rooftops narrating everything Angel does, that's what this issue reads like.
Yeah, it's perfect. And so it's Iceman saving some woman from an attacker who turns out is just her buddy. And it's just him narrating the entire time, talking about Lady Darkness and how all he sees is the darkness and his only emotion is gold. And she's just like, wait, what? Dude, what's up?
Inverted Iceman is Speedball.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of, actually, is when Speedball turned into Penance and Great Lakes Avengers made fun of him for it.
Thank God.
Like, it's kind of a parody of Axis itself, which at this late stage of the game, for me, was very welcome. Plus, I like Iceman. Plus, ridiculous gothitude is never not entertaining. So for me, I laughed out loud. I loved this story.
So here's the thing. This didn't read to me like an Axis story. I mean, what you said about it reading like something that's a parody of Axis totally how it read to me. It doesn't seem like this is what Iceman would invert to based on the way the other characters have. Like, it reads like Iceman making fun of Axis. And for that, it's fantastic. Like, screw Axis. I would way rather read an issue of Iceman just mocking it for, 10 pages or whatever.
The second story is about Victor Von Doom, everyone's favorite robot face dude, and it's called Least Resistance. It's written and drawn by Howard Chaykin, with colors once again by Rochelle Rosenberg. This one is a more standard Axis story. It's about some Latverian revolutionaries going to take down Dr. Doom, essentially.
So the thing about Revolutions that I found is that the stories that consistently grab me are the stories that are about characters or angles on characters that you don't really see in the main series, and this didn't really give me any Doom that we hadn't already seen. Doom's figured very heavily into the central title, and this story just felt unnecessary.
Yeah, we do see some interesting things, which is that, even though his goals are now noble and stuff, he's still ruthless as a leader. That comes out with the way the revolution thing happens. So it's interesting. It's by no means a bad story, but it's just sort of, there. It's not memorable the way that the Iceman story is.
Last, but certainly not least, we have All New X-Men number 34. This is written by Brian Michael Bendis. It is drawn by Mahmoud Asrar, colored by Marty Garcia, with assists by Marcello Maiolo. And, man, this has become one of my very favorite X books. I have to say, at this point, if I were recommending a single X title to someone who was new to the franchise and wanted to jump in with a current series, this is the one I would send them to.
Yeah, okay. I can see that, yeah.
So this continues the time-displaced 4 of the original 5's X-Men's jaunt through the Ultimate Universe.
And X-23, also X-23.
And X-23, point. And it remains fun and interesting. It's more character-driven than story-driven at this point. But I really like it, and I've got to say, at this point, we have a listener who's got a very young daughter who's a huge Jean Grey fan, and looking for all ages appropriate or wider age appropriate Jean Grey stories has sort of become something that we do in the background for this kid. And so this issue made me really happy because it's got not only one really good Jean Grey, but two really great Jean Greys interacting.
Right, because we're once again in the Ultimate Universe, the main characters are, hanging out with the mixed case text that is endemic to it.
Yeah, and meeting up with the X-Men of that world. So Jean's with the X-Men of that world. Hank is with Dr. Doom having horrible feelings conversations.
Mm-hmm. At one point, Doom mentions that it's embarrassing.
It is. Angel and X-23 are just running around doing Angel and X-23 stuff.
What I really liked, actually, was the Iceman part. It's a good week for Iceman fans. I'm an Iceman fan, so it's a good week for me. But yeah, he's basically fighting the monster from the cover to Fantastic Four #1, or close enough. Just, fighting it and attempting to run away and talking to it and periodically interrupting himself with, "Why am I talking to you?" And
because you quip, Iceman. Come on.
You quip. That's what you do. But yeah, it's really charming.
Was that a Tick reference?
I think I was misquoted, but yes, it was.
Sort of. You thwart.
That's what you do.
Yeah, that's yeah. Oh man, they're bringing that series back. Speaking of wonderful things.
It's gonna be great. But yeah, this is a good issue. I really do enjoy that Uncanny X-Men and All New X-Men have started to differentiate from one another very severely. When at first it was almost like it was part 1 here, part 2 here, part 3 here, part 4 here, and now they're really titles, despite having the same writer, with very much their own style, their own feel, and that's really cool.
Yeah, I think pulling those characters out of the main Marvel universe was a really good move, because right now Uncanny is mired in history and continuity and X-Men politics and infighting and soap opera, and this gives the original 5 a chance to play and explore and have adventures and have, reasonably coherent continuity that's actually followable if you haven't been reading X-Men for 30 years or haven't read 30 years of X-Men.
So Rachel, on the week of December 17th, 2014, what's our favorite book?
Our issue of the week is definitely, I think, All New X-Men 34.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple strong contenders, but this one is great, and it also kind of exemplifies the things that we've come to really enjoy most about this title.
Totally.
That out of the way, what's our panel of the week, Miles?
Okay, so I knew the panel of the week was going to be from the Iceman story from Axis Revolutions.
Unquestionably.
Yeah, but the hard part was picking which one, because there's like the "all of life is a lie" or "nothing is real," but they're really just they're mainly good dialogue. Well, good dialogue. The art itself was fine, but not specifically remarkable. So we ended up going with this pair of panels right here, because you can just hear Iceman trying his best, like Kevin Conroy, Christian Bale Batman voice that still isn't very good. "No matter how hot the fire of justice burns inside my icy exterior." Dramatic pause, dramatic pause. "Nothing can melt." Lots of dramatic pauses. We have to give this enough dramatic pauses. "My heart." It's great.
I feel like if there weren't licensing issues, we would have "Let It Go" as our outro music this week.
Oh, geez. There's enough of that out in the world. We don't need more of it.
That is a really good point. We do not need to reinforce that meme.
But yeah, so it's just, I don't know. I just kept looking at this issue and giggling every time. And for me, that's a way for a comic to sell itself on me.
Yeah, it's also really good comic timing, which is challenging to do visually.
My heart. So that wraps it up for this week.
If you enjoy what you've seen here, please check out our podcast, Rachel and Miles Explain the X-Men. New episodes go up every Sunday at rachelandmiles.com, there along with a visual companion, also on iTunes and Stitcher. What are we talking about this week, Miles?
So this week, we're diving into a couple of annuals from 1984, the most important of which is the first appearance of intergalactic rock star, planet thief,
and queen of my heart,
Lila Cheney.
This video, along with all of the others, and all of the additional material that appears at rachelandmiles.com and a bunch of other cool stuff, exists thanks to our generous Patreon supporters. Thank you guys. If you would like to join those folks in supporting Rachel and Miles Explain the X-Men, there is a link immediately below this video, roughly crotch level based on where Miles is pointing. So yeah, click through if you're interested.
See you next time.
We can't do we have no special effects. We can't do explosions.
We could have actual explosions. Those aren't special effects.
Not in my office, please.
Oh, okay.